A few videos back, I asked you guys one question. How do POE2 players actually earn currency this league? And instead of just giving you my own guess, I told you I was going to actually run a real survey and find out properly. Well, 543 of you answered that survey. Real numbers, real methods, real results. And today, I'm showing you every single question, every single result. And then we're actually answering the question I asked in the first place using your data, not my guess. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's Sammy. Let's get to it. All right. Before any numbers, I got to be straight with you about what this actually is and what it isn't. 543 responses collected over about a week. So everyone answering was roughly 6 to 7 weeks into this league. That's a real solid sample. But here's the thing I have to say. This is my audience answering, not a random slice of every POE2 player out there. And the numbers prove it because over 75% of the responses are already deep in the end game, juicing tier 15s. Only 2 people out of the 543 said they were still in the campaign. So this is a picture of engaged, invested players, mostly, not a neutral cross-section of the whole game. Keep that in mind for everything I'm about to show you next. Okay, let's get through it. Question by question, starting with who actually answered this thing. Most of you are playing a lot. 41% of you said 20 to 40 hours a week, which by the time you filled this out, works out to somewhere around 195 hours, give or take. Already into this league. 29% said 10 to 20 hours, 21% 40 plus, which is looking at over 300 hours in. Only 1% of you said under 5 hours a week on average. Experience-wise, almost half of you have played a few leagues. 39% call yourselves veterans, and 13% are brand new to this league. And overwhelmingly, trade softcore is where you're making your money. Juicing and farming maps is the most common primary method. Just over half of you, 51%. Right behind that, 37% of you said just playing with no specific goal is actually your main driver. Crafting for profit and flipping trail behind at under 8% each. As for actual currency earned, it's spread out. The single biggest bracket is people saying they have between 300 to 1,000 divines. That's at 22%. But a real chunk of you, almost 13%, are at a whopping 5,000 plus divines. Holy crap. Send me your strategies in my DM. And here's an interesting one. When I asked how you feel compared to what you actually expected to earn, the single biggest answer, 30%, was just about what I expected. Roughly equal numbers landed a bit ahead and a bit behind that response. 63% of you have fully completed your general atlas tree. Another 23% are almost more than halfway. Masters-wise, 68% of you have unlocked all 3. On map tiers, the majority of you, 58%, are running tier 15 consistently. And a genuinely impressive number, 28%, are running tier 16s. Almost 73% of you run maps at max, all 6 mods. And 85% run tablets fully modded as well. And on Rarity, more than half of you, 54%, are running somewhere between 0 and 100 Rarity. All right, so those are the responses of the survey. And I just want to say, again, thank you very much for all 543 of you that took the time to fill out that survey. I really do appreciate it. Now let's actually go back and answer the question I originally asked. Does method matter? And if so, which one actually pays? Before I get into the numbers, I want to be honest about something. Some of what this survey found is just going to confirm what you probably already suspected. More hours played means more currency. More Atlas and Master investments means more currency. Juicing being the most common method. None of that's a shock. I'm not going to pretend that's some huge reveal. But a couple of these results actually answer questions we generally didn't have real numbers for before. And those are the ones I want to kind of slow down on a little bit as we get into this. I broke down average currency earned by primary method, and here's what came back. Crafting for profit actually came out on top, averaging around 3,835 divines. Flipping was next at just over 2,600 divine. Juicing and farming came in a bit behind that at 2,265, and just playing with no goal trailed way behind, under 1,000 on average. I do want to flag something honest here as well. Crafting for profit had the smallest group of the 4 responses. Only 41 people picked it as their main method, compared to almost 300 of you on juicing. Small samples can get skewed by a couple of outliers. So I checked the median on those numbers, not just the average, and it actually held up 3,750 divine, almost identical to the average. So this isn't 1 or 2 lucky crafters dragging the numbers up. It's a genuinely consistent group. Still, 41 people is 41 people. I couldn't call this fully settled, but it is a real result, not just a fluke. If you watched my currency wheel video, this actually lines up with something I said, which was my own personal take, that crafting and juicing were probably the 2 highest ceiling methods. Turns out, crafting might actually be the single highest, at least based on what you guys all reported. Hours played matters too. A lot. Under 5 hours a week, and you only average under 700 divine. If you play 40 hours a week, you're going to probably average over 3,300 divine. That's a 5 times gap just from time alone. But here's the one I actually want to slow down on, because we've talked about this before and never had real numbers. Rarity. Yes, I know, rarity. If you don't run any rarity at all, you average about 1,263 divines, according to the 543 that responded to this survey. Running 101 to 200 rarity, that jumps up to 3,631 divines. That's almost triple. This is the first time I've actually had data to back up whether rarity does anything. And based on what you all reported, it clearly does. And this next one is honestly the clearest result in the entire survey. Players running maps at max, all 6 mods, averaged 2,500 divines. Players who usually only ran 1 to 3 mods averaged 95. That's not a small gap. That's nearly 25 times more currency. If you watched my currency gap video, this is the exact thesis that video was built around. Juicing compounds hard. And now, instead of me telling you, you're the ones who proved it. Atlas completion, unlocking all your masters, running higher tiers, all of it showed up in the same pattern. More investment, more currency, pretty much every single time. One more thing worth breaking out, since I did ask specifically which mechanic actually made people the most currency. Delirium came up on top in the numbers, averaging around 3,700 divines. Though that's a smaller group, only 23 people named it specifically. Expedition was right behind at 2,716 divines on a much bigger sample of almost 80. So honestly, that one might be the more trustworthy number of the two. Ritual Breach and Abyss trailed behind those. And this actually lines up with something I noticed going through the optional comments question a lot of you left. Delirium came up constantly. 28 separate comments mentioned it by name, and a good chunk of those specifically called out running 200% Delirium as a deliberate strategy, stacking it on top of other mechanics like Cities, Breach, or Expedition to multiply the payout. A few of you weren't fans of it. One comment said it's the only reliable way to get raw currency drops right now, and you're basically forced to engage with it even if you don't enjoy it. But the sheer number of you bringing it up unprompted tells me this was one of the real defining strategies of the league, not just something a couple of people happened to try. Now look, I know some of you clicked on this hoping I'd hand you the one magic bullet. Do this and only this, and you'll be swimming in divines. That's not what this data actually shows, and I'm not going to pretend it does just to give you a cleaner answer. Yeah, crafting for profit had the highest average. I already told you that. But juicing had way more succeeding at it. Flipping worked for the people who committed to it. Even just playing wasn't nothing. It just capped out lower than the other three. The honest takeaway isn't which one method to pick. It's that all four of these genuinely work. Some just have a higher ceiling if you actually maximize them. Which one's right for you probably comes down to how much time you've got, what you actually enjoy doing, and how much risk you're willing to sit with, not some universal right answer. And if you watched my currency wheel video, this is basically the whole video playing out in real time. Build, skill, time, knowledge, and luck all still apply no matter which of these four methods you pick. And that's exactly why there's no single best answer here. There's just a method that fits where you're actually at. And to be honest, the other takeaway from this is the fact that that's the beauty of this game. Each method works. It's just a matter of which one fits your play style and where you're at in the game. There's no right or wrong. It's just the one that applies to you. So there's your actual answers, straight from the 543 of you that took the time to fill out the survey. Honestly, some of this just confirmed what a lot of us already figured. More time, more investment, more currency. That's not exactly a plot twist, but a couple of these actually settled real questions. Rarity doing something concrete instead of being a total mystery. Crafting for profit actually out-earning juicing on average. That 200% deli pattern showing up over and over in your own words. Those are the parts of this survey that genuinely moved the needle for me, not just backed up a gut feeling. Thank you, thank you, thank you genuinely to everyone who filled this out. This is real work I couldn't have done without you. Let me know which one of these numbers surprised you the most. And if you want to actually see the data broken down visually, I'm going to be posting that on every single question on my community page on my YouTube channel. So go give that a follow if you haven't already. And like always, if there's something else going on in POE2 you want me digging into, drop it below. I read every single comment. All right, everybody, that's it for today. If you're new here, hit subscribe, hit that like button if you got something out of this, and come watch me live on Twitch and YouTube. Links are in the description. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it. And we'll hope to see you on the next one. Take care. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.